could have it set up for if your business receives, and a lot of the faxes are Spanish, which is just baffles me. Well, I mean, like you're getting like income tax classes now, whatever. Like, because at my business, we get all of our faxes are faxed to PDF. We don't get faxes; it just goes straight to a PDF to an inbox. So that's how we get them. And so I'm like, why fax them? Just scan it and send it. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Or like somebody's like, hey, I need this verification done. Can you fax that back to me? I'm like, oh my God. Type in his phone number. Oh, didn't go through.
Yeah. Somebody's picking up the phone. Mom! I'm trying to send a job application. And I think of some of the technology that was old when we were kids that now is almost completely obsolete. Things like typewriters. They have a little bit of a renaissance now because a lot of writers and stuff like that really are trying to find old school typewriters to get that feeling of writing around.
Plus Tom Hanks collects them, so.
Yeah, they're cool looking, but typewriters were a pain in the butt.
Dude, they were heavy. Even the mobile typewriters weighed, at least 15 pounds?
Mm-hmm. And if you were typing a report, you were guaranteed at least 2 or 3 times of getting the keys jammed up. Or
that was the worst. You're sitting there, you think you're in a rhythm, you're like, tick, 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 and then like D and like something else gets stuck. You're like, why?
And teachers in school, of course, you can't have any errors. So if you make a mistake in your typewriting paper, then you've got to type the whole thing all over again.
Oh, but you would try with the whiteout, and the whiteout would end up getting hit by a key and screwing it up even more, and then you'd really have to just start over.
Yeah, and the whiteout was a different color. Like, the paper wasn't actually white. The whiteout was, like, ghost white, so if you had an error, you're, like, shining a giant bullseye on it.
Dude, whiteout is the worst, or at least it was the worst. It never matched at all.
You're like, what's the point? Come on.
Well, plus it didn't help, too, when you're whiting out over stuff, especially like ink, and the ink just bleeds through the whiteout. You're like, what? This is worthless.
Now there's just a big splotch on my screen. How about the old overhead projectors in schools?
I miss those.
They still have new ones now that are much nicer, but those old ones we had that, like, the entire temperature of the room would rise about 15 degrees having those things on.
Dude, hearing the fan on those kick on and you smell the dust and the dead bugs burning that were in there. They bring out that plastic piece. You can hear it go, and they put it down there and you hear the little markers go, and then they screw up and you try to wipe it off and it just smears the whole page because they don't know how to clean it. Those were the days, man.
Good times. Those, and then the projectors when they brought in movies. Like, I was just on the tail end, like in elementary school, when we had the Conjunction Junction Schoolhouse Rocks come in. They would bring it, wheel in that projector cart with the big reel-to-reel machines that they put on there, and it roll the whole thing on there and watch it in all its like 1950s glory.
Those and slides, man.
Slide machines were kind of cool. There were other ones that I'm pretty sure they caused a lot of fires, but.
Well, going back to the overhead projectors too, you always, whenever that brought in, it always took the teacher 10 to 15 minutes to get the focus right on that too. Because they'd pull down the screen, so they'd reach up and the screen would always be jammed for whatever reason, even though they just used it yesterday. But it'd be jammed, so they're sitting there, they got to do the different types of pulls on them. They finally get that down. You think it's going to follow them, and they get it in there, and sometimes the mechanism up there that locks it in place doesn't work, so they have to like put a pencil and a weight on the bottom of it. I don't know how many classrooms I went into and they had that stupid weight to hold it down, and then they bring that in and they're sitting there trying to get the thing right, and it's like, oh, it's out of focus. So they're doing math problems, and even the people in the front row are like, I can't see that, and then they're like, oh, let me adjust it, and like going up and down, and it's a tight little, because of the projectors, I swear that we had were from like 1970, dude.
Yeah, they'll have too, and you had the old projectors, and they had the bigger classrooms, so the lights weren't bright enough. Oh, so yeah. my experience was, okay, everybody, we're gonna pull out the projection. You guys can all take notes. So we're gonna turn on the lights. So it's gonna be pitch black, and you're gonna have to take notes of what's on the board.
Dude, that's true. They always did turn off the lights for the projectors.
You
take notes, and you're sitting there like, hold it up to the light.
You turn the lights on, you can see your own notes, but you can't see what's on the board. Turn the lights off, you can see the board, but you can't see your own notes. It was a catch-22.
It was always fun when they turned on the lights after you were taking notes, and you look down, you're like, I wasn't even on the lines.
Words written all over your desk. Ah, crap. I'll just save that for the test.
God, dude. Projectors were they were the best, but they were the worst, because I always liked it when they brought them in, and if it was stuff I knew, I was like, I can maybe just close my eyes and try to get a nap because all the lights are turned off, or you can like write that cheeky little note and send it to your crush or whatever. But when it was stuff I actually had to pay attention for, like math, that's probably why I struggled in math, because I was sitting there, it was either out of focus or I couldn't read my own notes, and I'm like, is this an X or a Y? I don't even know anymore.
Instead of learning math, you were actively going blind.
Yeah, squinting at it. You're like, ah. And it was always the worst too, because if you had a problem with you didn't want to tell the teacher, because then they would fumble around with it an extra 5 minutes, which means you'd probably have to stay late after class, because you're like, let's just go. I don't have any questions. Just go.
C passes, right? Well, I feel like we could probably go on this for hours, but we should probably let our listeners get back to their merry little lives. But I feel like we're going to have to do a part 2 of this sometime.
Well, I am going to leave it with this.
Okay.
The worst part with the overhead projector, besides turning off the lights and taking notes, is when you're sitting there taking notes, and all of a sudden you hear go, snap! And then you have to get up, walk over to the wall, find the pencil sharpener, and go. Everybody stares at you, teacher looks at you, you're like, sorry guys, and then you go back down to take a note, and you realize you didn't sharpen it enough.
Pencils. Did kids even still use pencil sharpeners in class anymore? Because they were the worst.
I don't think so.
Because every class you had the pencil sharpener in the back and the big old crank one, but it was like the walk of shame, because if you had to do it in the middle of a test, you're interrupting everybody in this dead silent class, you're going to be like, sorry.
But it was always a pencil sharpener that has been there since 1953, and it doesn't sharpen a pencil very well. Because, like, I remember one of my classrooms got one of the quote-unquote new ones. It was still a crank one, and that thing just took, like, 2 spins, and it was sharp. But all the other classrooms had that one where you had to sit there for a good minute or two just sitting there going like that, and the teacher would be like, are you done? You're like, it's not sharp.
Where you get it off all the way, and then it snaps off again. You have to start over. You pull it out, and it snaps. Ah, dang it.
Mom, I told you not to get the cheap pencils. Those were oh, my God, those were the worst. If you didn't get the number 2, like the name brand number 2 ones, and you're sitting there trying to write, and the
graphite's already broken in the middle of the pencil.
The graphite's all fragile in it. You sharpen it, just keeps snapping.
All right, we're gonna have to go back to school supplies that can die in a future podcast. I got a whole list of them.
Erasers that don't erase. Yeah, we got it. We got
that. But technology that is come and gone. That was our topic today. So I want to hear from you too. What's something else that we missed that you feel like you're going to have to explain to somebody, and they're going to think you're a crazy person when you tell them about it?
Back in my day, we had this movie. It was on a disc that looked like a record.
And you put it in the slot of this machine, and then hook that machine up to a TV, and then use the remote control to push a button, and then after some previews started, you went to a menu, you could start a movie. Sure thing, Gramps. Take your pills.
You mean a DVD? No, it's a laser disc. That sounds made up.
But let us know. Hit us up at social media at Geekish. Have yourself a great day, and we'll talk at you next week.